they're so easy to remember. And I would make up my own, like before tests. I don't know if these are technically considered mnemonic devices. I guess so. Yeah. Like make little songs to remember things. Like that would really help me. Even with my husband, when he's been studying for tests, I always can make up a song. Do you use a lot of, these devices, Lindsay?
Yeah, I used to. I mean, these days I don't do a lot of like memorizing facts.
Right.
Because, but let's see. When I was learning Spanish, I think not so much, but yeah, when I was a kid in school, for sure. I did a lot of this. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, these aren't necessarily things that you're going to say in conversation.
Yeah,
they're more
just in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Another one in English, this one doesn't always work, but is the whole I before E except after C for spelling.
Oh, yeah. I before. Oh, that's a great one for our listeners here today.
Yeah.
Right? I before E. So any words when you feel there's an I and an E and you don't know what goes first, that can be confusing. What's an example of that? Would be like either. I suppose that one's pretty easy.
Wait, no,
but
that's the E before the I.
That doesn't follow that.
No, that's the thing is like people have kind of decided that this rule is not so great, but like I don't know, like there, like, right? THIER.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then like with other words, it just doesn't work. So, it's kind of a funny one because everybody knows this one, but it doesn't always work. It's kind of it's kind of junk. Yeah.
So throw that one out.
Yeah. But it's a good one to know and everybody knows that one.
Everyone knows it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you might want to use these different devices to help you practice English. And so I was saying, I read this article recently about how drawing a picture is the best way to remember something.
So this is where this applies for you guys for when you're learning English, drawing a picture. Interesting. Where was this article published? What are we talking about here?
This was by Brittany Wong on HuffingtonPost.com. This was on January 9th, 2019. And the article is called A Scientifically Proven Trick to Remember Pretty Much Anything. So we will link to that article, guys. And this is really interesting. It talks about a study that shows that drawing a picture is the best way to remember, if you're learning something new. So, for example, there was a doctoral candidate involved in this study. Her name is Melissa Mead, and she gave the example of that you could draw pictures to remember like something like groceries that you need to get. So, maybe if you draw a picture of it, you'll remember it better. I never would have thought to do something like this. Lindsay, have you ever done it?
Yeah, like really? I was just recently, kind of, I think, but that's because I thought I was like a visual person. I mean, this is assuming anyone, whether they're visual or verbal or kinesthetically oriented, should draw pictures, right? This is not about learning styles. This is just about a memory trick. Yeah?
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't think it's about, I don't recall seeing anything about learning styles, but we can check.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. Like this week I was trying to learn, it's so boring, but it's so boring for everyone else, but it's like a way to it's in our software system to create tags, and it's a complex system that I'm trying to learn. And I had to write it out in terms of drawing. I had to draw it out, the boxes and the arrows and how this, that's really important. Mm-hmm.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that does have something to do with it. I'd have to read the article again, but I think it was mostly just, you can, a way to remember something. So I never tried this like for just information I need to remember. It's very different from the way that I've tried learning things. But I mean, I think that this could help our listeners also in their English learning. Don't you, Lindsay?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, even just like seeing something on a piece of paper, like even if it's not a drawing necessarily. I remember when I was learning Japanese, in Japan, I found the keychain thing that had the little cards that you could put on your keychain and you could write the tiny little ones that you could write vocabulary words. Right. And I remember writing like the hiragana or the katakana on those cards, and then the English on the back or the Japanese on the back. And then I could practice just by looking at it on the train. And that visual learning constantly was so helpful.
Right. Visual learning is helpful. Yeah. I mean, I imagine you could draw a picture of items next to a list of vocabulary words, right? Rather than using translation. I think that, we talk about how translation isn't always like a really good thing, right? So if you have a picture of it, instead you're identifying the word as the actual object rather than translating it first and then it becoming the object.
Yeah, I agree with that, Michelle. I think that's a good idea, actually, for our listeners to try that. Try that this month. If you're learning new vocabulary words, make some flashcards that go directly from English to the item, not your language, not English to your language